Today, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to meet a man who knows more about conditions behind the Iron Curtain than perhaps any other living American, even from inside a communist prison. You may recall a famous mystery in post-war Europe when Noel Field, formerly of the State Department, mysteriously disappeared from a hotel room in Prague, Czechoslovakia. And a few months later, his brother Hermann Field went to try to find him, and he also disappeared, apparently from an airplane between Poland and Czechoslovakia. And then 5 years later, they were released from prison. And Hermann Field received an apology from the Polish government. Because of what's happening behind the Iron Curtain today, I persuaded Hermann Field to be with us and give us the benefit of his experiences and his advice. And in just a minute, I'll be back and let you talk to Mr. Field personally. Mr. Field, first, can you tell us where it was that you were imprisoned?
It was in a cellar outside Warsaw. I don't know what the outside of the building looked like.
You never saw the outside? Why was that?
No, they have a habit of taking you everywhere blindfolded at night.
And you were in the cellar. Did you ever get out of the cellar?
Never.
For 5 years, you never got out of the cellar?
5 years I was there.
No exercise?
Nope.
Never out in the prison yard?
Nope.
Just in the cellar for 5 years. What was the real reason for the arrest?
And it happened that I had, in 1939, for a brief period, done some refugee work for a British government-sponsored committee. Now they were trying to make out that this work had been, in fact, done for British intelligence in order to subvert Czechs in the post-war period. Quite fantastic, considering that this happened 10 years earlier.
In other words, they were trying to make you out to be a British agent.
That's right.
And this was all part of their fear of Tito and the idea that the Czechs and the Poles might follow Tito.
That's right.
Did they torture you?
No.
Did they threaten it?
Well, when it was convenient, there were some hints, yes.
Were other people tortured in the jail?
I could hear things which were quite unmistakable, yes.
Did they interrogate you much?
Oh, very much.
Well, what are their tactics? Do they promise you anything? Or?
Well, it really starts out in that they first, when they pick you up, they make you feel that you're completely defenseless. You've got no cards left. You are lost. Nobody knows where you are. You've got no contacts with the outside world. You're in effect, you become more or less of a hunted rat. And when they get you really feeling that way, and they've had you in a cellar for a certain length of time, and in a bigger or smaller degree have put considerable pressure on you, psychologically or physically even, then they start interrogation. And that is the worst period, because then you can expect almost anything. In my case, they stayed with psychological things only, but in other cases, of course, it went much further.
Didn't you develop any cards at all, anything that you could hold over them?
Yes, finally. I think the most critical time in the beginning is when you're sorry for yourself, and you really are almost self-destructive in the way you behave. After a while, you begin to figure out, well, is there any way I can save myself? Is there anything I can do in this situation? It depends all on me. And in my case, after about a year, I gradually suspected that there was one card I had, and that was that they didn't want me to die.
What did you do? Threaten to die?
That's right.
Well, what did you do?
Well, it was a very gradual thing and very many-sided. At first, I experimented just with seeing what happened if I apparently was sick, just like a kid does when he doesn't want to go to school. It took various forms, sometimes much stronger, always more and more trouble with food, and finally using out-and-out hunger strikes, which were recognized as such.
How long was the longest hunger strike?
The longest one was in 1952. That was 27 days.
27 days? Mm-hmm. Well, what happens after you've been on a strike that long? Do you want food or not?
No, I must say that it's pretty dangerous by that time, because you yourself really haven't got much will anymore in the matter, and you're almost at a point where you would much rather have it over with. Now, of course, this doesn't mean I went 27 days without any nourishment. What happens is they let you go as long as they think they can let you go without dying, and then they, if you don't stop at that point, they start forcible feeding. And what they do is they put a rubber tube down your throat, and if you resist, as I did, well, then they put you in a straitjacket. I even tried to bite when that happened. Finally, I even developed a method of bringing back my food, a sort of a reflex, as a final threat to them. And of course, in the end, they also found a game means of dealing with that.
Well, did you eventually win some concessions that way?
Yes, it was a very dangerous game, because it meant they didn't know exactly how far I would go, and I didn't know for sure where the limit was with them. And I know that there was one time when I misjudged the situation, and I think it was only really by a freak of circumstance that I survived, because they had decided apparently that they would not go along anymore with this.
They would not try to forcibly feed you any further.
That's right.
And you almost died.
Yes.
What happened? What rescued you?
Well, it was a very involved decisions apparently, which just happened to come to my benefit.
I see.
Only
Now,
chance.
well, we'll stop here for a minute, and then I want to talk to you a little further. What did you do to pass your time during 5 years in one room?
Well, in the first, when you're in solitary, you spend all the time practically from the time you wake up in the morning until you go to sleep at night, just walking back and forth and back and forth. You know, you've seen bears in a zoo cage, same
Yes.
thing. And your mind tends to go around the same way in a circle all the time. That's the self-destructive phase. Later on, you learn to be more disciplined. You think about all of life. You think about the meaning of a lot of problems. You begin to get more theoretical. And you begin to work out problems. For example, in my case, what I did when I was in solitary, I discovered that by taking a little bit of straw out of my mattress and cutting them in certain sizes, breaking them in certain sizes, I could start making architectural plans on the floor of my cell. I first tried simple ones and then more complicated ones, and gradually my cell was covered entirely with these architectural drawings.
City blocks.
Yes, a whole, even air views. And finally, it was so bad that I had to sit like on an island on my mattress, because that was the only place in the cell where there wasn't a drawing. But when I finally got the paper, that's what actually what I wanted to put down on paper. But a funny little thing interjected itself there, because the guard we had at that time was apparently a canary fancier. And so he asked my cellmate, does your an American friend here know anything about canaries? Well, it happened. As a kid, I had canaries. So he said yes. And so the result was that I was asked to design the most beautiful canary cage that I could conceive. I asked the guy, was it supposed to be beautiful for canaries or for him, from his point of view? And I spent several weeks designing this, making all of the cut lengths of every part numbered and measured, and it could have gone immediately as a prototype into mass production. And all, of course, that happened is that he took that over to the prison workshop and surreptitiously made his canary cage with it.
Did you do any writing?
Oh, yes. Actually, I had been burning to write for, I should say, almost years, because after my solitary confinement, I was put together with another prisoner, a Pole, and we immediately found this situation much easier, because when you're alone, you've only got all your own life to think about and what you've learned.
How many years had you been alone?
Well, a total of about a year, I would say, not all at one time. And at first, we told each other everything we knew in a kind of a cell university, you might say. But of course, after a while, we ran out of that, so then we had to think of something new. Well, it ended up in us telling each other stories, and they grew finally into novels.
So you wrote novels?
Yes, and
without paper or with paper?
Without paper, just telling them to each other.
I see.
And so then when I got pencil and paper, my first idea was to get this right all down. And for the next 2 years, this cellmate of mine and I wrote these novels, and we wrote actually 3 novels and 1 book of essays. It was about a stack of notebooks that would almost reach from the floor to the table.
And I'd like to ask one question. Your brother's been released from prison, too, in Hungary.
That's right.
Where is he now?
He's in Budapest.
Have you heard from him?
Well, I heard from him before these recent events in the summer, and it was interesting because he mentioned in the last letter that he felt very encouraged by the trends there.
Trend toward freedom in Hungary.
Yes.
Well, at this point, we hear from a friend, and then I want to be back, and we'll go into this a little bit more. Now, what's happening behind the Iron Curtain is so important, and Mr. Field's experience is so interesting, that I'm going to ask him to be back next week to tell more of this fascinating story.